The Western genre is full of stories of cowboys versus the Navajo. But what if the cowboy was a Navajo? And what would be even cooler than that is if we added lasers. This is the mythology of Bravestar. Bravestar was a short-lived action figure line created by Mattel in 1986 and an animated show made by Filmation that debuted in 1987. Bravestar was created by Lou Scheimer, the head of Filmation. You might know Lou best as the voice of Orko. When Lou saw a character design for a mysterious cowboy villain produced for Filmation's Ghostbusters, he was inspired by the design. Lou pulled the character from the lineup and decided to create a new show around the villain, Tex Hex. The show would be a space western and use the conventions of the western while updating them to make them more appealing to kids. Scheimer also wished to change the representation of Native Americans on television and decided that his hero would be Native American. Scheimer took further inspiration from the novel The Beastmaster, created by science fiction author Alice Andre Norton. The Beastmaster novel and its sequels follow a Navajo soldier named Hostine Storm, who has the power to communicate with animals. When he is sent to a hostile planet, he uses his powers to go on an epic adventure. Yes, this novel was the basis for the film Beastmaster starring Mark Singer. However, the film changed so many aspects of the novel, the author had her name removed. Scheimer was inspired by the story of a Navajo warrior with his animal-based powers, and soon he had his hero. The result is Marshal Bravestar. He enlisted veteran writers Bob Forward and Steve Hayes to create a series Bible and write the origin story, which would be released as Bravestar, the movie. It is Bob Forward who can be seen as the main influence on the lore. Bob was so passionate about the world of Marshal Bravestar, he even modeled in a series of promotional pictures as the Marshal. Filmation approached Mattel. The company was looking for the next big mythology to replicate the success they had with He-Man. They produced an action figure line. The figures were 8 inches tall, larger, and better articulated than what they had produced for He-Man. The Marshal and his arch-enemy Tex Hex came with backpacks that worked similar to laser tag, or photon for that matter. And kid-sized version of Bravestar's and Tex Hex's guns were produced. That also worked on the principle introduced by photon and laser tag. Score a hit and the gun lights up. An entire wave of action figures was produced, as well as the playset for Fort Carrion. Filmation produced 65 episodes of an animated series for syndication. However, in a move that makes little sense, they released the animated series a year after the toys hit the shelves, and the line had already been canceled. The toy did not reach the heights needed to compete in an oversaturated action figure market, and the line existed for only a single year. But the story of Bravestar lives on.
On the dark and distant planet of New Texas, where even the sun is afraid to shine, it is the dawn of a new era. Carrion has been discovered, an element more precious than gold, the ultimate power source of the universe. But the discovery of Carrion brings with it new evil, Tex Hex and his deadly outlaws. To fight these forces of darkness and restore law and order, Earth sends just one man, Bravestar.
Bravestar takes place on the planet of New Texas. An ancient evil threatens the galaxy. The demonic Stampede travels from planet to planet, destroying civilizations. Stampede has discovered an ancient power plant, guarded by the Tribe, a race of Native American warriors. Stampede invades the tribe's land to take the power plant using massive beasts called bronchosaurs. The shaman attempts to stop Stampede, but fails. The demonic Stampede takes the power and absorbs it, but it is too much for him, and he expels the energy, destroying the shaman's planet and all of his people, except one. However, the shaman escapes aboard a totem pole-shaped starship and takes along with him a young boy, asleep in a cryogenic chamber. The shaman follows Stampede across the galaxy, determined to stop him. Stampede has settled on the planet of New Texas as his next place to conquer. It is a planet rich with a valuable mineral called Carrion. The shaman crash lands his ship on New Texas, and to save the boy, he ejects the ship's emergency capsule and directs it toward the Galactic Marshal space station. The boy is adopted by the Galactic Marshals and grows up to become Bravestar. The shaman leaves the boy with one half of a necklace so the boy might one day find him. Decades later, a carrion rush has turned New Texas into a place where aliens from around the galaxy come to have a chance at getting rich. It has also turned the planet into a hive of scum and villainy, as grifters and criminals collect to prey on the weak. Stampede emerges from hiding and decides to build his evil empire. He finds the cruelest character on New Texas, Tex Hex, and grants him incredible power. Tex Hex and his gang, the Carrion Bunch, terrorize the citizens of New Texas until a call is made to the Galaxy Council. New Texas needs help. Send marshals. They send one. This one will be enough. Marshal Bravestar is a heroic Native American warrior who enlists to become a marshal and finds himself stationed in New Texas. Bravestar can access the mystical powers of his people and has the strength of the bear, the speed of the puma, the eyes of the hawk, and the ears of the wolf. When using his powers, an aura of the animal will surround him. He also has an array of weapons at his disposal. His marshal badge can be used to activate a force shield called the Star Shield. Even his hat is more than what it seems. It contains a two-way radio and an optivisor that can allow him to see infrared or zoom in great distances. The marshal is an expert shot with his neutral laser pistol, however he prefers to use it only as a last resort. He also carries a beam lasso he can use to ensnare his opponents and carries a tomahawk which he can hurl at his enemies. Bravestar rides a turbo mule, which is the main mode of transportation for the people of New Texas. When he needs to patrol the skies, he rides in his hoverglide, a one-man gyrocopter. Bravestar gets his powers from an ancient spirit named Ursian. Bravestar eventually meets Ursian, who has taken the form of an elderly blind man, but eventually reveals himself to be a spirit. Bravestar was voiced by Pat Fraley, who also voiced Krang, Casey Jones, and Baxter Stockman in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, and also the Sky Striker pilot Ace in G.I. Joe. Marshal Bravestar is not alone and has several companions in his quest to defeat Tex Hex. The Shaman is Marshal Bravestar's mentor and father figure. Shaman resides in a massive totem pole-like mountain called Star Peak. It is Shaman's crashed starship covered by cooled magma. He is a being of immense power and wisdom. He is voiced by Ed Gilbert, who played General Hawk in G.I. Joe. The Prairie People are a resourceful race of creatures that can burrow into the earth like moles. They are incredible builders and brilliant mechanics and work hard. This has made them a prime choice for enslavement, and when we first meet them, they are generally hated by the people of New Texas, until Marshal Bravestar stands up for the Prairie People and asks them for their help in reinforcing Fort Carrion to face an attack. He appoints a prairie person as his deputy, and Deputy Fuzz becomes one of his most trusted companions. Fuzz is a short, squat prairie person with a kind demeanor. Like all prairie people, he is a whiz with technology and can burrow underground at great speeds. He carries a multi-rope, which he can use as a lasso. It rides on a prairie rocket, a small vehicle he refers to as the Fuzzmobile. Deputy Fuzz is the comic relief character of the Bravestar show. His girlfriend is Wazilla, and he will do anything to protect her. Fuzz is the first prairie person to become a deputy. As before Bravestar arrived, the Prairie People were hated by the citizens of New Texas. Judge J.B. McBride is the judge assigned to New Texas, and Bravestar's companion and occasionally his love interest, as they share a kiss in Bravestar the movie. Her father was the ex-partner of Tex Hex, and it is no doubt that her father losing the use of his legs must have been a motivator to send her to study at the Galactic Court of Justice and become a judge. She wields a technologically advanced gavel called the Hammer of Justice. It was gifted to her by the Prairie People. It is a powerful weapon and can be hurled and will return to her hand like a boomerang. She rides her turbo stallion into battle. Judge McBride was voiced by Susan Blue, who is the voice of RC in Transformers. 3030 is the last living equestroid, a race of cyborg horses sometimes referred to as techno horses. Equestroids have the ability to ride on all fours like a true horse, and also can stand upright in their humanoid form. 3030 is Bravestar's steed and best friend. They first met when the shaman sent Bravestar on a quest to retrieve a powerful weapon. The marshal entered the Great Temple on Mount Equus. where 3030 was guarding a powerful rifle. The marshal fought 3030 and eventually beat him. Their battle caused the destruction of the temple. 3030, having failed in his mission, vows to join Bravestar in his cause. When they return to the shaman, it is revealed that the rifle was not the weapon. 3030 was the weapon. His name is 3030 because the 3030 refers to the 30 caliber, 30 grain bullet used in a Winchester Model 1894 rifle. 3030 carries a giant Carrion-powered blunderbuss that he affectionately calls Sarah Jane. He is hot-headed, always ready to fight, which sometimes puts him at odds with his friend. 3030 was voiced by Ed Gilbert. Handlebar is the owner of the Trading Post, a local saloon where he serves a drink called Sweetwater. He comes from a race called Regilians, large green-skinned humanoids with considerable strength. Handlebar is a reformed pirate and is a capable fighter. His favorite weapon is plates that he tosses with considerable accuracy, and his action figure had a feature that replicated this plate-tossing action. Handlebar tames and rides on the back of Rampage, a mechanical bull that is a powerful ally, and would have had an action figure in the second wave. It came with a remote control. Can you imagine? But the line was canceled before the toys were produced and shipped to stores. Mayor Derringer is the man in charge of Fort Carrion. He is not always the best person and often has to be persuaded to do the right thing by Marshal Bravestar. As when we first meet him, he is repulsed by the idea of working with the prairie people, until he is told by Bravestar to stop using slurs like critters and accept Deputy Fuzz, or else.
Oh, goodies, goodies. And after you tickle things too. Prairie people is good at that.
Once the mayor realizes the prairie people are of use, he is won over. Yeah, this is the kind of guy he is. Long-Armed John is a heroic cowboy with a mechanical right hand that can extend and wrap around his enemies. An action figure would have been produced if Bravestar had made it to a second wave. Doc Clayton is the town doctor and a frequent ally. Colonel Borobot is a transforming Union soldier that transforms into a space sled that Bravestar can ride. The Colonel wields a sword and a space bugle. While there are many other aliens and allies in the world of New Texas, possibly one of the strangest allies has to be Sherlock Holmes and his partner, a Regilian alien conveniently named Dr. Watson. When Sherlock Holmes falls into a time warp portal, he lands in New London in the 23rd century, where he becomes entangled with Marshal Bravestar. Bravestar and Holmes team up to solve a mystery and end up confronting Moriarty, who has transported himself into the 23rd century. This crossover episode was meant to be a backdoor pilot episode for the next Filmation show, Sherlock Holmes in the 23rd century. However, the show was never produced. New Texas is a dangerous place full of dangerous criminals. The most evil being of them all is Stampede. Stampede, an ancient demonic force of immense power. He is a bronchosaur, a race of massive dragon-like creatures. He is immensely powerful and capable of using dark magic. He can conjure monsters and even has the power to resurrect the dead. Stampede was voiced by Alan Oppenheimer, the voice of Skeletor. Stampede often employs the skeletons of his dead brethren. These skeletal monsters can breathe fire and shoot lasers from their eyes. Stampede is the one responsible for creating Tex Hex.
Greed, cruelty, evil. You are perfection itself. You shall serve me well.
Tex Hex is the main antagonist of the Bravestar universe. He was once a Carrion miner who had enslaved the prairie people and forced them to work for him. He also double-crossed his partner, Angus McBride, causing him to fall and lose the use of his legs. When Tex Hex and his evil toady Scuzz attempt to leave with all the Carrion on board, the load proved to be too much for Tex's ship and the ship crashes, killing him and his companion Scuzz. Tex was such a cruel taskmaster that Stampede took note of his evil and realized he might be the perfect vessel for his power. Stampede resurrects Tex, giving him a ghastly, emaciated appearance with sickly purple skin, red eyes, and gray hair.
Rise and face your master, Tex Hex.
Tex has immense power and has many magical abilities. Tex can shoot energy bolts, he can shapeshift and create illusions and summon creatures like the fire snakes. He wields a neutral laser with deadly accuracy. Tex rides the Skull Walker, a robotic steed with a skull head that can fold up his legs and hover in the air like a land speeder. Tex commands the Carrion Bunch, a gang of criminals that terrorize New Texas at the will of Stampede. The Carrion Bunch are headquartered at the Hexagon, a massive structure that is shaped, no, not like a hexagon, it is shaped like an X, and is made up of crashed starships. It is located in the Badlands, one of the most dangerous territories in New Texas. He was voiced by Charlie Adler, who also played Lowlight on G.I. Joe. Sandstorm is Tex Hex's right-hand man. He is from a race of creatures indigenous to New Texas called sand walruses. He has the ability to exhale gusts of sand, which can be used to pick up people or objects or hide his escape. His sand can put people to sleep, and he can create sand creatures that he can command to attack his enemies. Vipra is the only female in Tex Hex's gang. She rides a massive robotic snake and wields a Vemonizer gun that can put her opponents to sleep. She also has the power to hypnotize her enemies and keep them under control. Cactus Head is a miniature robot with mechanical legs and cannons mounted on his body. He is the whipping boy of Tex Hex and is often subjected to verbal and physical abuse by his master. Thunderstick is a stuttering robot with a powerful gun hand. A figure was produced in the first wave but looks nothing like his cartoon counterpart. The cigar-smoking Scuzz is a former prairie person and the cousin of Deputy Fuzz, who betrayed his kind and sold them into slavery, striking a deal with Tex Hex. However, Scuzz was mortally wounded along with Tex and resurrected by the evil Stampede. Scuzz is voiced by Alan Oppenheimer and often coughs due to his serious addiction to smoking. Hogtie is a humanoid pig dressed in a Union Army uniform. He used bolas to capture or bind his victims. Hogtie was voiced by Filmation president Lou Scheimer. Along with his gang, Tex Hex employs gangs of dingoes to do his dirty work for him. The dingoes are native to New Texas and often take up a life of crime. Eventually, Stampede tires of Tex Hex's failures and decides to replace him with someone just as evil. This is where we meet Moribund, a crossbow-wielding criminal. Moribund is a large, intimidating cowboy who rides a mechanical steed named Grox. His crossbow possesses special ammunition. He can launch rocket arrows or manifest massive robotic snakes. His steed Grox is a mechanical demon with sharp claws and a tail and contains a multitude of weapons. Dingo Dan is a coyotoid who has the uncanny ability to change his appearance.
Remember, I'm no ordinary dingo. I'm Dingo Dan.
He is a member of the Dune Buggy Gang, a gang of thugs that roam the Badlands with heavily armed dune buggies. An action figure of Dingo Dan was advertised to be part of the second wave of Bravestar toys. There are many other villains threatening the citizens of New Texas, such as the outlaw Billy the Droid or Thorin the Slave Master, but they are no match for the Marshal and his friends. The planet of New Texas is located 600 parsecs, 1,957 light years from Earth, in a star system with 3 suns. The planet itself has 3 large moons, often visible in the sky. Fort Carrion is the center of the story and where the people of New Texas gather. It was the main playset of the toy line and featured a command center, a bank, a jail cell, and a tower. When the town was in danger of being destroyed by Stampede, the prairie people used their building skills to turn it into a technological fortress. And the fort has the ability to transform Western Town to an armed, impenetrable fortress covered in weapons. Fort Carrion is named after the substance that everyone in the world of Bravestar covets. Carrion is a mineral far more valuable than gold. It is a powerful fuel source and has medicinal properties. It has even been used to cure the blind. A fistful of Carrion came with the playset. X-Carrion is the most powerful and rarest known form of Carrion. A single nugget can power all of Fort Carrion for over a year. The landscape of New Texas can be unforgiving and houses many dangerous creatures, such as sand vultures or sand crabs, which move just below the surface of the desert and reach up with their massive claws to destroy their prey, or the ape cats, massive gorilla-like cats that run in packs. Along with the dangers of the creatures, the fauna of New Texas can be just as dangerous, such as the fever flower, which once bloomed in such great quantity it poisoned everyone in Fort Carrion, except Marshal Bravestar, who had been given an antidote early in his youth by the shaman. Bravestar had to venture into the Iron Mountain to acquire the antidote from the Dingo Llama. There are several native races such as the Prairie People, the Dingoes, and the Sand Walruses. Although the land sees little rain, the people of New Texas get their water through aquapods, cactus-like plants that are extremely efficient in catching water. The Badlands are the lawless regions of New Texas, besotted with dangerous volcanoes. Very few dare venture into the Badlands, and it is the source of many adventures. Stone Canyon is an area in New Texas rich with carrion. It is also the place where the dingoes produce spin, an addictive drug. It is a liquid that creates a feeling of bliss followed by a floating sensation. Those who become addicted, aka spinheads, can become dangerously out of control and can die from the effects of the drug.
Spiders! Spiders everywhere! Ah!
The spin factory operates until it is put out of commission by Marshal Bravestar. The Bravestar story was full of action and heroism, and also often had a message and tackled topics like drug use, prejudice, and the corrupting power of greed. Bravestar would battle Tex Hex for 65 episodes until the show was canceled, and at one point we learned that Tex Hex was not always evil. In the Bravestar Christmas episode, we discovered that he once was a good man, but was overtaken by greed. He was even in love with a woman named Ursula. In this Bravestar version of the Christmas Carol, the shaman becomes the three spirits of Christmas and shows Tex that if he continues on this path, in a few years he will die a lonely, tragic death. The message hits Tex and he withdraws from attacking Fort Carrion on Christmas. Knowing his former love is there, he risks facing the wrath of his evil master. He ends up wishing his love a Merry Christmas from afar.
Merry Christmas, Ursula. Merry Christmas.
And this causes Bravestar to wonder if there is any hope for some redemption for his enemy. However, we never got to see this redemption play out, as Bravestar was canceled after the first season due to low ratings and even lower toy sales. Lou Scheimer remembers Bravestar as his favorite cartoon. The toy line had a lot riding against it, while the 8-inch size made it more expensive to produce, and the landscape of action figures in 1986 was oversaturated. Had it succeeded, a second wave would have been produced, and who knows where the toy line could have gone. Would we eventually have gotten an Inhumanoid-sized Stampede? We can only imagine. The line failed, but anyone with a Bravestar figure in hand can attest it is not due to the quality of the action figures. These figures are beautiful. Even by today's standards, they are well sculpted, larger, and better articulated than many action figures of the era. The main failure of the line can be attributed to the toy being released a year before the cartoon premiered. Had children known the story of Marshal Bravestar when the action figures hit the shelves, the line may have been a bigger hit. We will never know. However, Marshal Bravestar has lived on in the imaginations of kids who played with the toys and watched the cartoons. Ramen Toys produced a Bravestar knockoff called the Marshal, and you can pre-order your very own 3030, or as they call it at Ramen, Techno Horse. This is the mythology of Bravestar. If you want to hear more action figure mythologies, check out my video exploring Filmation's other cartoon you just may have heard of, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.